The following video is for computer geeks only. People who are looking to get some of the writing on these game systems to see what it was all about. Here's the JVC Xi. Basically, this is an excellent, fancy Sega Genesis. I believe it was licensed, so it's not like today where you have, you have the Yobo, which is Nintendo, but it's not really licensed, so you know that this is high quality. Now, if we turn it on its side, if you can read it, okay, this is the days when you had audio video jacks, and then they had their own audio video port. Gave great reception for the day. And when you turn it over, manufactured September 1994. And you had the usual information, JVC, made in Japan. Okay. Sega Genesis. So if I'm not mistaken, this is the model 1602. So this unit is called the 1602 to the best of my knowledge. And now as for the Sega Genesis 2, this is the Sega Genesis 2. Which one did you prefer? The Sega Genesis, despite being bulky, the good thing was that it was easy to put cartridges inside without the thing coming up on you. So this one you had to hold the system, but it was just really a beautiful system. This one had, see, it had the AV port, but not for regular AV jacks. This was their own special one. JVC, you could use any AV jacks. Now the funny thing about the Sega Genesis was that they used the same thing, only this was bigger. And people were pretty ticked off because these were not compatible. So if you had the AV jacks, this is the AV port for the Sega Genesis. If you owned the Sega Genesis 2, they wouldn't work. This is when Sega got the reputation for thinking that people were made of money and they weren't really careful about this. One other thing to mention, these are the famous ports. They look a lot like Atari ports. That's how the joypad came in. And back here, I really don't know what this is for. This is an extension. It looks like the computer monitor for that time, but I doubt that they built it for that. I don't think they got that good. Okay, here's the Galaxy 2. Absolutely wild. This really was three-dimensional. A lot of these systems, they didn't give you the appearance of three-dimensional. Instead, they made it three-dimensional. And EPOCH. I wonder if that's the same billing people. Here we are. I didn't know it was this old. 1981. Epoch. Is that the same people today that do the billing? Made in Japan. Pretty impressive. Now here's the official Frogger game from Sega. Looks exactly like an arcade unit. Pretty cool. Gimmicky. Cool. Okay. Surprise, surprise. Look who made it. Coleco. Made in Japan. Coleco really was fantastic. They never had the popularity of Atari, but they deserved it. If you ever get a chance, play Believe it or not, there's a game called Cabbage Patch Kids on Coleco Vision, and that delivered Nintendo graphics over a year before Nintendo was released. So Nintendo is not the one who invented the video game system as a graphics machine. Coleco did. Here's the Sears Video Arcade II. This was very common. If you were buying video games back in the 1970s, there was always Radio Shack had their own brand, and Sears did. It was very common back then. You turn it around. There it is, channel 3, channel 4 selector. You've got the Atari logo on it. And then you choose whether you have black and white or color TV. And if you look, this had 4 ports. If I'm not mistaken, the regular 7800 only had 2. There's a unique on-off switch. And then here's all the buttons here. Now, if you're not familiar, this was the Atari 7800. This is the PAL version of it, but it's still the same concept. This is the power button, pause, select, reset, and then here you've got the 2 ports. So there you see the differences. Okay, now for the Mattel Aquarius data recorder. Boy, the floppy disk was a major step forward. I mean, it's funny to think that the floppy disk was any good, but if you've ever tried using audio cassettes to hold information, it was almost impossible. It was barely better than punch cards. Well, maybe not that bad. Okay, here it is, 1982. But you know, it shows you that they were trying to look for ways to store data. And even though they didn't do a good job, at least they were trying. Mattel, as you know, they made television at the time. Here's the Coleco Vision roller controller. Oh my god. And the back is just simply Coleco made in Taiwan. The game room telepon. Pretty thick system. It looks like I got it covered and I won't be able to. It says made in Japan. I don't like to be prejudiced and whatever, but whenever you saw made in Japan, that usually meant high quality. And then if it said made in China, it meant that they were trying to cut on costs. And here's the real 3DO. Man, this was a very heavy, very solid system too. Now, if you look in the back, here it is. Panasonic. Now, you know, Panasonic makes the best stuff. In fact, the camcorder that I'm using right now is Panasonic, so. There's the expansion port that was never used. It's hard to believe that they had an RF switch, which nobody was going to use because it delivers horrible reception. Now this had audio video jacks, and look, it had the S video. If you're not familiar, the S video gave a lot better reception than audio video jacks. And it's the precursor to the, the DVI and MIDI, where they tried to go one step up from audio video jacks. And in the back here's the FCC label. Caution, do not open. Now before the 3DO, several years earlier, this system brought gaming to a whole new level. The Neo Geo. And this is the box. To give you an idea of how big the box is. This is the Sega Genesis. Sayonara. There was one thing that was overlooked regarding the Socrates system. I forgot to show the cartridge port. Look at how deep that is. See that? It's narrow and deep. I guess this is to look in on the cartridge. I believe I mistakenly thought that was an infrared reader or something. So I'm correcting an error. Also, when I showed the Magnavox 3000 right here, sorry about that. Okay, cancel that out. Okay, cut it right there and just do the Socrates thing. Thank you. Start this fucking video over. It's too bright here. Okay, I suppose that's acceptable. Start over. Following video is for computer geeks only. I'm going to turn down, I'm going to turn it up. Ever since the creation of video games, they had always sought for ways to let me I was going to do an Odyssey review here that was going to turn out a lot quicker. Some people accuse my videos of being too slow paced, but this is why. This is how I originally had intended it to be. I was just going to make it into a 1-minute video, but as you can see, you can't see any of the damn labels. So That's why I turned this, that's why I laid them all down like this, so that it would be easier to do. So, no criticisms, please. Thank you. Sayonara.